Well, as they say in Australia, where our good friend Caitlin is, g'day folks. Or as our good friend Sharon would say, let's mosey on down to the corral and see what's cooking. Finally, the complete I Spy, right from the masters. Never been available before in good quality. Darren McGavin, remember him from The Night Stalker. Mike Hammer, complete series. Just one more thing, ma'am. Columbo. Everything. Everything. All the episodes, all the movies. The only thing you don't get is the trench coat. I've been doing this a long time. This is the best documentary on the history of horror films that I have ever seen. The first one is the golden age of horror films. The second, the gothic revival of horror films. And the last one, mutants, space invaders, and drive-ins. Each one is an hour and a half long. The best documentary I've ever seen, as I say, on the history of horror. Speaking of Darren McGavin, The Night Stalker, The Night Strangler, and Kolchak, all 17 one-hour episodes, if you're up to it. Night Gallery, seasons 1, 2, and 3. The whole shebang. Speaking of Rod Serling, Twilight Zone, the complete, all 154 episodes. And what would the genre be without Boris Karloff? Perhaps the best horror anthology, maybe even as good as The Twilight Zone. 64 one-hour episodes of thriller. The complete Andy Hardy films on 2 volumes from Warner Archive. Finally, they have re-released On the Buses, seasons 1 through 7. This is it. Now, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. It was on television for 10 years. You have seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and season 6, which is almost impossible to get here in Canada. Zane Grey Theatre, Dick Powell Zane Grey Theatre, seasons 1, 2, and 3. Half-hour episodes from the early 50s. Tombstone Territory, the complete series. And finally, for the Westerns, season 2 of The Rifleman. This is my last set, and I will not be getting any more of them in because they're just too difficult to get to be shipped here to Canada. Season 2 of The Rifleman, my last one. Now, I thought we'd look at some new single feature films. Frenchman's Creek, never been out before, great pirate movie. The Bamboo Saucer, mixing spy with space. Tony Curtis, The Great Imposter. True story. Man who became a Trappist monk, a surgeon on a Canadian ship, and he wasn't qualified for anything. Lady Jane. Burt Lancaster and Edward G. Robinson, All My Sons. What does a son do when he finds out that his father may have been a war criminal? Kurosawa's Dreams. The last story that Charles Dickens was working on when he died, he only got it half done, it was completed. After his death, The Mystery of Edwin Drood with Claude Rains. I don't know whether any of you are up to this one. The Secret of the Blue Room. Every time someone spends the night in the Blue Room, they don't survive. 3 men trying to prove their love for a woman. What else? Each one of them spends the night in the room, and lo and behold, they don't make it. George C. Scott, Joanna Woodward, They Might Be Giants. The long sought after Sherlock Holmes movie. George C. Scott thinks he's Sherlock Holmes. His psychiatrist is Joanna Woodward. He brings to her what he believes is some fanciful plot, only for her to find out that it's real. Maybe the best series ever done on the Warsaw Ghetto and the Nazi occupation. Uprising. Fabulous documentary with Simon Schama, The Story of Jews. And finally, with Easter coming up, here are some of the religious movies that Vintage Video always has in stock that are fabulous any time of the year, but I thought we would highlight some of them for Easter. Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. Salome, Stuart Granger. Robert Taylor, fabulous, fabulous film. Quo Vadis, with Peter Ustinov playing Nero. Ustinov said during an interview one time that he loved playing emperors because he got better treatment at the studio commissary. Maybe the very best story of Jesus on film, Franco Zeffirelli's Jesus of Nazareth. And its sequel, A.D. Anno Domini, 6 hours, starts off just where Jesus of Nazareth left off. It's the story of Peter and Paul. Of course, the old chestnut, The Ten Commandments, Charlton Heston, Cecil B. DeMille. Solomon and Sheba, Yul Brynner, Gina Lollobrigida. Sodom and Gomorrah, again, Stuart Granger. Esther and the King, Richard Egan. The Prodigal. The Story of Ruth. And while we carry quite a few documentaries, religious documentaries, my favorite is The Bible According to Hollywood. This wonderful documentary traces from the silent era right to the present religious themes on film. And while not quite an Easter movie, it's still very good. George Bernard Shaw's Androcles and the Lion, about the persecution of the Christians in the Colosseum. And of course, April the 14th, we all remember the disaster of the Titanic. We have an entire Titanic section, which includes this mini-series that was written by an up-and-coming Julian Fellows, who went on to do, all together now, Downton Abbey. Mini-series, this is where he really got the inspiration for Downton Abbey. We have other related movies having to do with sea disasters. We have The Last Voyage with Robert Stack, and one that's coming in later in this week, The Wreck of the Mary Dear with Gary Cooper, and a couple more films that we're getting in hopefully on Friday. The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, never happened to me, and The Big Shot with Humphrey Bogart. Never been available before, not even on VHS. Well, folks, there we have it. Our new product. Hope you enjoyed it. Give us a call if there's anything that we can help you with. See you later.